Oh, man. Hello, world. What's up? Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Matt Forte. We are here live at the Build Studio in New York City. You know our next guest because she's made a ton of the things that you love. You've seen her, of course, on the Goldbergs. You've heard her on Steven Universe. And if you follow her on any of her social media, then you know a new Allie and AJ video is apparently just like a month away. If that's not enough, she's also starring in one of your new favorite shows. That's right. Every Wednesday, you can catch her in Schooled on ABC as we follow Lainey Lewis into the 90s and adulthood. That's right, folks. The great AJ Michalka is back on the building. How about that? Make some noise for AJ. She's here. She's back. I'm excited. Oh, all right. We're all excited as well. It's going to be awesome. We're going to bring her out here in just a moment. But first, I believe we have a peek at tomorrow night's episode. So let's go ahead and run that clip.
Hello. Aaron and Ed just told me that they're bailing on their crisscross performance because you said they'd get made fun of.
That's not true. I told them it would totally destroy their lives.
I saw them rehearsing and I thought they were really good. Especially their dance moves. This one part, they're like, sweep.
You choreographed it for them, didn't you?
A little, yeah.
CB, have you forgotten these kids are in middle school?
So?
Middle school is universally known as a cesspool of hormonal, insecure monsters who are just waiting to rip each other apart. I'm only trying to protect them.
By squashing their self-expression?
By squashing their bad ideas.
Well, I think as teachers, we should try to make middle school better by teaching these kids confidence and acceptance.
Look, middle school will always be garbage. And there's nothing anyone can do about it. Even CB, the super teacher.
Ladies and gentlemen, make a crazy amount of noise. AJ Michalka's right here. Look, it's AJ. It's right there.
Hi, guys.
Oh my
Good to be
gosh.
back.
It's so great to have you back. Thank you
Thanks for having me.
Oh, please. Door is always open for you. You know that. I was so excited to see you come back in for two reasons. One, we had a great time last time you were here. And two, I freaking love this show. I was telling you this backstage. I'm going to say it again. You guys have knocked it out of the park. It's you've done two things. One, you've made a funny show. Not easy to do. And two, it's a spinoff that's like, it's its own thing. You could feel the connective tissue. You could feel the DNA from Goldberg's, of course. But like in the world, like on the scale of like Joey to Frasier, the needle is all the way over on the Frasier side. You guys have made an awesome spinoff. You've made a great show.
Thanks.
That's like its own thing. It's a big scale. There's a lot of room in there. So
A lot of room.
A lot of room.
A lot of room.
Congrats, sincerely. Like it's a great show.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
That's awesome.
I'm so proud of it. And I do think it's hilarious. And it's witty and original and funny. And there's something that the writers, do on the Goldbergs that is just, to me, so kind of niche comedy for Major Network. And Schooled is doing it, too. It's really special.
It's really, really cool. Yeah. In general, how are you? How's life? How's New York going? How are you doing right now? You doing
Life is great. Yeah, the city's been awesome. I've been here for the past few days. I'm actually also shooting a music video. So my sister and I were here over the weekend shooting. Yeah, all around the city. Alex Ross Perry just shot the last 3 music videos for us. So we have some new music coming out, and I'm excited to come back with Allie and talk about the new EP. And
Absolutely.
And then now I'm here for the show. So yesterday and today is all about Schooled, and I'm happy to be here. I leave tonight, sadly, but...
You leave tonight?
Yeah.
Let's go back for a second. The episode where Lainey leaves Goldberg's was, as a viewer, very, very emotional, of course. What's it been like for you? Because you weren't, yes, you're leaving the show, but you're taking a lot of the show with you. You're going to see some people over and over again. We've had some fun faces pop in already. Like, what's the transition been like going from Lainey on Goldberg's to Lainey in Schooled? How's it been for you?
The transition's been really smooth. I mean, my biggest thing was... the 80s, 90s thing, it's like there's no research in that sense of the character that you have to really do. Like, I know the 90s. I grew up in the 90s. I love the 90s. Totally. But in regards to, like, figuring out who she is as an adult, like, that was definitely stuff that I felt like I needed to kind of grasp before shooting. And, the Goldbergs, we've seen her grow up the past 6 years as, like, a high schooler and then a college dropout and then trying to reform her band. And... engagement to Barry happens, and then they break up. And that was a heartbreaking episode. I mean, that was really emotional for me to shoot. It kind of felt like the end of an era for her, but also exciting in the sense that it was the beginning of an era for the 90s for her. But it's really cool. There's a couple things I've done as an actor that I've just kind of kept in my back pocket, whether it's the certain way she stands or certain way she addresses, her students, that kind of differentiates her from how we've seen her in the Goldbergs, that helps me place her into, like, Lainey now, you know what I mean? Which is different than Lainey then.
When you first found out, were you, what was the overwhelming emotion? Excitement, intimidation, nervousness? Like, what were you thinking when they were like, you're going to carry the show, we're going to put you right in the front, you're going to be on the poster, you're going to have the Patton Oswalt job, you're going to do all that stuff? Like, what'd you think when you found that out?
Honestly, I was shocked. Like, crazy, crazy excited. Completely shocked. Adam Goldberg, Mark Farrick, and Doug Robinson, who are the reason why these shows exist, called me, I guess it was March of last year, and they were like, hey, as you know, we've talked about this spinoff. We aired it as a special. It did really well. However, it didn't get a full pickup, and we're reformulating it completely. ABC still loves the idea, but it's not quite right. Would you want to come on board? We're going to tell it from the eyes of Lainey. I was honestly like, what? Like, are you kidding me? Like, why? And awesome. And oh my gosh, I'm going to cry. And I did. I cried. I got off the phone and I cried. I called my mom and I was like, oh my gosh, Mom, like, I get to continue. I could start crying talking about it now. Because I thought that character was kind of, at the end of an era a little bit. They were writing it in a certain way, which I understand, where it's like she graduates college, she's a little older than Barry, we might not see her for a while, and I was actually going to be off the show for a bit, just due to storyline. And then this happened, and it's crazy. I'm so blessed.
So that's interesting. I always, on the outside, you're watching the show and you think, oh wow, they tied that up really nicely. That makes sense that she's leaving to go do this show. But no, that was the trajectory, rather this was happening or not.
It was. I can't necessarily say that the engagement breakup was. Yeah. That was more formulated once they knew the spinoff was locked. So that was their brilliant transition of like, how do we, on one night of television, air an episode that kind of closes the chapter for Lainey in the 80s, and then that same night air the new episode of School, the first episode in of Lainey now as figuring out life as a teacher.
That's really so cool. That's so very cool. There's a lot of stuff from very early in your response that I wanted to unpack because, yes, you don't have to do any of the research for the 90s stuff, but I was thinking about this. I was born in 85, so, like, I know some of the 80s stuff. I have an older brother. I remembered a lot, like, all of Adam's 80s love. I was just on the outside of it, but I appreciated it and loved it and remembered some of it. But, like, you're a 90s kid. Yeah. You're in the 90s. Is it fun to finally get most of the references?
So fun. Honestly, to be honest, the 80s references I really got only because I'm a big fan of 80s music.
For sure.
Big fan of 80s film. A lot of times we're doing an ode to like a John Hughes film or whatever. Like a lot of it I had seen and loved. But 90s is like my jam. Like in regards to fashion, pop culture, you got NSYNC, you have Backstreet Boys, you have Britney. That was all more late 90s, early 2000s, but still. And yeah, I feel really comfortable with it. And there's only been the one reference, which is funny because it's the episode airing tomorrow night, Criss Cross. I was like, I don't know who these kids are.
You don't know Criss Cross?
No.
Oh
I was like, what's
gosh.
Jump? I was like, this song is whack. But could not have been more fun to shoot this episode. And me and Brett get a dance in it with our students. It's an amazing.
We're going to talk about that in a second.
We have to.
But hang on. Have they since explained to you that inexplicably Criss Cross was massive? Like they were everywhere. People were wearing all their clothes backwards.
Backwards pants.
Yeah.
Yep.
They had like one song that everybody.
One song.
That was it. But they took,
incredible.
They were everywhere.
They were everywhere. And so when I got the script, I was like, I gotta do my research on these guys. And so I watched the Jump video for the first time, and I was like, this is hilarious. Like, it's amazing and wasn't supposed to be funny then, kind of funny now. Because you look at it and you're like, this is insane. These are two very little kids.
Very little.
Like mean mugging the camera, and like, I was like, this is hilarious and awesome. And so we pay tribute to Criss Cross in this next episode.
Yeah, I don't know that I can get on board and agree that the song was whack, as it was a big part of my childhood. But I agree with you that it was hilarious. It was
hilarious.
That breakdown still lives with me. All right, hang on a second. So you said you and Brett got to do a dance. Real quick, were you by any chance a fan of his previous work? Like, had you seen?
Oh my gosh, huge fan. And by the way, I've known Brett now for a couple years.
Okay.
And I know his fiance really well, and we did a movie together called Support the Girls a couple years ago, and thank you, and really bonded, and I love her. And no joke, they were like, who's gonna play Chuck Brown? And like, it was a big thing because it was like, this is our missing piece, and he's never been introduced before on Goldberg's. It's a brand new character. Chuck Brown is actually Adam Goldberg's real life favorite teacher growing up. So it was a very important role to fill. And so I told Adam, I go, Adam, you have to meet this guy, Brett Dier. And Adam's like, okay, I'll bring him in. He's like, I trust your opinion. I want your ideas. I'd sent him a long list. And then Brett, I was like, he's number one. And so they met with him, and I think he went in once and got the role. And like, of course, and he killed it. So yes, I am a fan of his work, and I'm so happy we're doing this show together because I'm literally surrounded by three literal comic geniuses. Like, how lucky am I?
It is an embarrassment of riches when you look at like all of the people that are in this cast. But I do want to stick on Brett for a second because you guys are having so much fun together. You can tell he's hilarious. I loved him on Jane the Virgin, of course, as Michael. He's so good.
Me too.
He's amazing. And I had seen not too long ago you two were doing a thing, and you said that there's like a great thing down the road. You like teased a potential something down the road.
Yes.
I think you said something beautiful or something like that. So teased. Okay, we don't know. We can't confirm, but we're all adults. We can kind of figure out what you're alluding to. I'm curious. You talk about the adult stuff you got to do as an actor. Was that interesting to sort of have to? A lot of it's in the writing, but you have to plan out over the course of the season how I'm going to evolve this particular relationship and go from I don't get along with this guy's a dork, I don't get along with him at all, to wherever we're going to end.
Yeah.
And kind of figure out, okay, by episode 5, how far am I enraptured or not? Where am I? And, you know, like figuring all that out. How do you make those decisions and plot that out?
Well, the good thing is the writers are really collaborative, and they help guide those decisions by each episode, which is awesome. However, before Brett and I work on an episode, we talk it out. We're like, how many moments of flirting are in this? Is there a little look that like they might want to pull from that maybe you give me, you know, across the hallway? Like little things inside a couple of the scenes that are not too obvious, but at least start developing that there is a connection there. However, we didn't want to play it like too big too soon, because season 1 you actually won't really see them blossom all the way as like a romantic couple, but it's just getting planted. So it's very little in season 1. You will see Barry Goldberg come in at the end of the season to try to fight for Lainey. And it's a really sweet moment, and that is when things really unlock with Brett's character, that he's really into me, and then sees that like, damn, like her past is back. It's a really sweet moment. But it's tricky. As actors, you just have to be collaborative and talk about it and be like, how much do we want to give away in this next scene?
We've seen Wendy a couple of times in the show. Now we know Barry's coming back towards the end. How exciting is that when you see somebody from Goldberg's come over and jump into the 90s with you? It's got to be a fun day.
It's so exciting. It's so exciting. We shot, which is coming out very soon, a reunion episode. And we actually do like an ode to Romeo and Michelle, which is one of my favorite movies. And I think you can all imagine who comes on to be, you know, the Romeo to my Michelle. Erica Goldberg comes back. It is such a good episode. And to have her on set with me that week was so much fun. Not like we haven't seen each other in a long time, because we're all on the same lot, like a stage away. So like during lunch, like
too, right? The same school and everything, or
same. So we all have different stages.
Yeah.
We share one stage actually, but we're split up around the Sony lot, but we're all on the same lot. So it's pretty sweet that we're all there, and I love that I get my friends on this show. I know, it's awesome.
You mentioned how Brett's character is inspired by Adam's actual favorite teacher. I still can't believe, like 70 some odd episodes into the Goldbergs, there's still like familial archival footage that he's pulling from.
By the way, over 100.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's still going.
It's still going.
He doesn't like run out of footage.
He has
everyone's waiting for it to happen.
Yeah, I think honestly, he filmed his life more than we film our lives now, and we have the camera all the time. It's pretty wild. And I don't want to use the word like pressure or responsibility, because it's more lighthearted and fun, but do you guys feel a sense, I don't even know how to phrase it, but like this feeling of like, oh, we better do this guy's story justice because it's his life. Like you're bringing his actual life story to life. Like, do you feel a responsibility when you're telling those stories and you guys are working through these characters and stuff?
I do, yeah. For sure. The good thing is, because Goldberg's is now such an established thing, all of us feel so comfortable that, okay, we're all doing him a solid. Like, you know what I mean? None of us are like going off the rails, and he's like, well, can you bring it back a little bit? Like, this doesn't feel like my life. However, he's very specific about it. Like, even the way certain sets are styled. You know, I remember we reshot a scene, you know, a few seasons ago on Goldberg's because he didn't like how Lainey's room looked. Like, he's just really, really particular and detailed, and I think it's what makes him such a great showrunner, because he really cares. But yeah, there is an absolute responsibility, especially when you like, you know, I don't know if you've seen the episode where Tim... or Bryan, interviews the real Mellor. Maybe that hasn't aired yet. Anyway, that's coming out. And it's a great interview. And of course, you're meeting the guy you're playing, which is even weirder. I mean, there is a Lainey, but it's a long story. She wasn't a teacher. But there is a Lainey that exists, and she actually used to babysit Adam. So it's really sweet. So yes, we are all real people, and there's a definite pressure there.
It's pretty amazing. That could go one of two ways when someone has that specific a vision, and like it goes the best way possible here, obviously.
Totally.
But like it's so finite, and like to the point where like they'll do. I love when on the Goldbergs when they used to do the side by sides of like here's the reenactment and here's the whole video. Like you could see like the dedication, and I love what school does where we're getting to meet the actual faculty, which is like it's double fun because one, here's the connective tissue to real life, but also shining a light on these awesome teachers.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Like, and like highlighting the work that these people did.
Yeah, and honoring them for how hard they work. And little did they know years later they'd be on TV because their student made a show about them. Like, it's crazy. And the cool thing is, probably the most pressure falls on Wendy in a way because she's playing Beverly, who has such a strong personality on social media, a lot of opinions. I mean, Beverly, I don't know if any of you follow the real Beverly Goldberg. She's
you
a
should
hoot.
be.
You should be.
You're using the internet wrong if you don't.
If you don't,
Like,
it's insane.
She's amazing.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think Wendy does an incredible job, and Beverly could not be more happy with how she portrays her. So in a way, she has like the hardest job, and she's succeeded.
That's the burden right there.
It
It's
is.
like you gotta please, if you could make her happy.
Totally. But yeah, we are honoring I hope, like the school system and how hard these people work. And they are underpaid and understaffed. And it's amazing that this show can shine a light on it, but also in a really fun way. There's obviously laughter for 20 minutes, but then that end tag is always like a really kind of heartfelt moment that I think is really sweet. I'm really proud of this show.
Sure, you should be. It's a great show. I want to, because we have to go over to the audience in a little bit, but there's a couple more things I wanted to get to. You mentioned early on of like some stuff that you had in your back pocket, like physicality, and we talked a little bit about charting that arc. Was there something specific or an individual thing that you were like really excited, like, oh my gosh, this is my chance to like do this thing or like work on this part of my craft or whatever?
Yeah, I think the coolest part about this show is it's given me an opportunity to play more with my physical comedy, which Adam is like a huge proponent of. Like, he loves when like someone gets hit in the face with a softball or someone falls or whatever it may be, even though it's funny because it's like, it's this version of comedy that you don't always see like women do. Like Cameron Diaz was like amazing at it. Like Drew Barrymore is amazing at it. There are a couple people that like just really nail it. And I'm getting to be able to do that more and more, which I feel like because Lainey was a smaller part of Goldberg's, there's only so much you can do with a character when you're writing for the family. And now I feel like this character is able to do more physically, and that side of the comedy that I get to play is meatier than it ever has been, which is really nice.
It's very cool. We've got Patton Oswalt literally right after you coming on the show.
It's crazy.
It's very the universe has smiled upon us.
I love it.
We have a great block. Did you get a chance like taking on that mantle of like doing the Patton thing? Did you talk to him at all about like?
I should have.
Do you want to after this?
I'd actually love to. We're done with season 1. However, I'll take any tips. If we're lucky enough to come back. He's so talented. I've actually. It's funny as an actor to admit this when there's as many episodes that have aired, but I've seen every episode of The Goldbergs. Yeah. And I totally understand like Patton's rhythm, and I'm a voice actor, not at his level, but a voice actor. I've done a couple cartoons, but I've never narrated anything. And when they told me I was going to narrate, I was like, huh? Like, I was shocked. I thought they were going to hire another female to voice me, but it's like Lainey's older. Adam was like, no, it's going to be you. I'm like, okay. So in table reads, I'm like, it's like, schizophrenia. I'm doing the Lainey VO, and then I'm my own self in the moment. It's really funny. But he's so talented and has such an interesting rhythm. And I talked to the guys, I was like, do you want me to like copy the way Patton intros the show? Because it's very specific how he's like, it was 1980 something. He's got that like really great, just such a great voice. Yeah. And they were like, no, like do your thing. We'll write in a way that like keeps the narration on par with Goldberg so that it's really a smooth transition. But they were like, just do your thing. Don't try to be the narrator of, the Patton narrator.
What a great team that you guys. It just sounds like everybody like works really well together. There's like really supportive atmosphere, and like it sounds like a big family.
It is.
Which makes sense.
It really is.
You mentioned the cartoon stuff, the voiceover stuff. I talked to Sean when he's here for Kim Possible.
Yes,
you want to talk about?
I'm so proud of him.
He's done that was fantastic. He's amazing. It was so
Isn't
fun
he
talking.
wonderful?
He's such a sweetheart. Like I don't know how else to describe him.
So kind.
He was the kindest person. I met him upstairs, and he was like, "I'm going to enjoy talking to you," and I was like, "Oh my really?
Yeah.
Like, he was
No, and that's,
so
by the
nice.
way, so genuine, and that's him all the
There were
time.
no cameras. He was just being a
Yeah.
person, and it was really nice. But he, you want to talk about voiceover work? I was looking at his IMDb. That dude's done voiceover work for so many different shows.
I know.
Did he like? How did you get involved in the cartoon stuff? Did he like turn you onto that stuff, or was that something you always wanted to do? You want to do the cartoon stuff?
That was something I always wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I told my team quite a few years ago. I was like, I really want to work on my voice, and I really want to do voice work. Is there any way I can get into that? And they were like, absolutely. We'll kind of set you up with the right agent for that department specifically, and it's going to take a long time to break, and you're going to record a ton of auditions, and it's going to probably be 500 auditions to booking one, basically. And that's true. And finally landed my first cartoon, this show, Steven Universe, on Cartoon Network, where I play this character, Stevani. And that's become a big part of my life. You know what I mean? People love that show, and I'm so honored to be a part of a Rebecca Sugar project because I think she's brilliant. And then that led, it really, one begets the other. I mean, it led to She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, which is the, DreamWorks Netflix reboot of the 80s cartoon that I'm playing the villain on, which is really fun. And so those cartoons have been a big part of, my time lately, and it's really great. But yeah, I was working on voice stuff before Goldberg's, and it just took a long time to land. So, but I should talk to Sean. I got to talk to Sean. I got to talk to Patton. Yeah. I need to get some real, I could be booking more if I talk to those two, because those guys understand voice.
Use your resources, man. You got these people.
You do.
All right, last thing. You said very early on, you're filming in New York. We know a video's coming up. Is there anything else you can tell us definitively? Allie and AJ, music. Can you give us a date? Can you give us a title? Can you give us anything? Are we still in teaser land?
So I am going to give the date. March 29th, you heard it here first, is the first single. So it's very soon.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. And my sister's going to call me after and be like, what the hell? We didn't agree to this. Like, hey. Sorry, I'm going to do press for us. Thanks. So that's going to be the first single out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Yeah,
oh, wow.
And we're going to release a 5-song EP following that.
Internet's going crazy right now. You just did it.
And then we're going to tour May and June. We're going to go on a 2-month tour, 35 cities around the U.S. We're going to hit Vancouver and Toronto as well. And we're announcing dates soon, so make sure you're up to date with, Allie and AJ life.
We will talk about all that in length next time you come back.
Perfect.
That's amazing. Okay, what do I got in the room? I got 2 questions. Fantastic. We've got some microphones. Get our audience questions. First one looks like it's right here. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, AJ.
Hi.
So my question to you is that, have you thought to yourself after each episode of school that you learned something new, that you're progressing, that what you've learned, and what have you successed after that?
Yeah, I learn something new every week as an actor because, you're working with a different director, you're working with different cast members, and I love kids, and Lainey's able to work with children a lot on this show. Some of my students are older, but then you'll see me in scenes where, I'm helping my young students, whether it's, breaking a story for a play or trying to figure out if we're going to do Phantom of the Opera. Like, there's a couple really great episodes coming up where I get to work with the kids a lot. And what I've learned is how enjoyable it is to work with kid actors. Like, the kids on this show are so brilliant and so smart and so kind, and all of them just want to work hard. And I was always the kid for so long. I was in that position, and now I'm playing a teacher, and I'm no longer playing high school, and I'm not the student anymore. And it's been really neat to be in the shoes of a teacher. It's really sweet.
Did that take? We got one more question we're going to do in a second, but just everybody goes through that moment where they find themselves, oh, I'm not the kid anymore. Did you have a moment where you're like, oh, right, I'm the adult now? Like, where like it hit you, like, holy crap, when did I become an adult? Like, when did that happen? Like, did that like hit you in like a wave at some point?
Yeah, it hit hard. It hit hard when Allie and I went on tour for the first time after 10 years, which was last year, because I was like, oh wow, we're independent artists now. It's like we don't have parents on the road with us. When we last did, it's because we were way younger, and here we are, kind of. Spearheading our careers. It's crazy. But also I think when school took off, I was like, oh wow, like I'm not Lainey High School anymore. Like that was a huge aha moment when this show started. I've always played way younger than I am just because that's just what's happened. And so it's interesting to now play like my age. It's hilarious.
We got one more. Sweet. Let's do it. One more question. All the way in the back. Go for it.
Hi, AJ.
Hi.
I was wondering, you have worked with many different directors on films such as J.J. Abrams and Peter Jackson. Can you tell me, out of all those films, what film you think was the most interesting experience you worked on?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I have been really lucky to work with some incredible directors. And one of the coolest experiences was this movie Secretariat that I shot probably 12 years ago at this point, which Randall Wallace wrote and directed for Disney. I played Diane Lane's daughter, and that experience was incredible. He didn't know I was a singer, and I think at some point we were talking, on set about my music, and he was like, "I would love for you to sing the theme song of the film. I'm going to write it. Would you want to, sing the theme for the film?" And I was incredibly honored, and that was just a cool kind of organic moment that brought in my music on my own. It was the first solo thing I had ever done, and it was a really cool experience. And I'll never forget, visiting Churchill Downs and working on a film that was about, a monumental piece of history, centered around Secretariat and the career of that horse. That was one of the coolest stories I've ever worked around. It was really neat.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Great question.
Thank you.
All great questions. Great audience. You guys were wonderful. I'm getting the signal. We're going to wrap things up. You have to go on and do a trillion more of these, I'm sure. But I'm so glad that we could be a part of that and that you came by to hang out with us. It was awesome having you here.
Me too. I really enjoyed it.
So, guys, you already know this, but I'm going to remind you, Schooled is on ABC Wednesdays. I want to say 8:30, 7:30 Central. So if you're not watching it, you're missing out. Go to Hulu. Catch them up. It's very bingeable. It's so much fun. If you love Goldberg, you're going to love it. And if you've never seen either of those shows, I am jealous of you because you've got a lot of awesome TV to watch. I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank you again, AJ. And guys, put your hands together, make a crazy amount of noise, and thank the great AJ Michalka for being here.
Thanks, you guys.